Real estate office pitch sessions, and this is the first one where one of the features that came up on every house was elevation and flood insurance.
Shocking.
Quite frankly, it feels like that's all I've talked about for about the last 5 or 6 weeks. We have some folks out there who are in a world of hurt, and you know that. And as far as flood insurance changes to what Congress has done, it's not going to be any help to you at all if they just delay this for a year. If they don't repeal the law or say we're going to go review the rates, as long as they delay the implementation, your prospective buyers are going to be hanging in limbo. So, even if you've already encouraged Congress, I would recommend that you encourage them further, because everything that I'm hearing about is talking about delaying this, but not going back through the rates. What they really need to do is ask FEMA to prove up the science that comes up with rates that they've come up with, and they need to create a program that may need to have rates increase. I don't disagree with that. But if they're going to have rate increases, it needs to be increases that make sense with respect to the houses in question. My poster child is a guy on on Reddington Beach, 900 square foot house on a lot that's no longer conforming. If the house washes away in a flood, he can't rebuild it because the lot's not big enough. He's got a 900 square foot house built in 1950. He's got a carport and he's got a porch, and his premium has just gone from a couple $1,000 to $16,000.
Oh,
Now, for him, he's not going to have to pay that. I mean, it's his homestead. It's going to go up 20% a year. But he has the house, or is preparing the house to put it on the market because he has a disability and wants to move back up north where his kids and his grandkids are. And he called me the other day and asked me who he was going to sell to.
good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
Young's retiring, maybe he'd be interested.
There's a more troublesome case that came to my attention, and then I'll talk about the tax roll and the normal stuff. But I bring this one up as a cautionary tale. If you all read the paper this morning, the lawyers are already talking about the lawsuits. Well, I've got a guy who bought a house in Seminole. It's on the water. Built in the 1950s. Closed with an insurance quote of $4,300. He was willing to pay that. 43-year-old guy, a veteran, 2 kids and a wife. And he just got his renewal notice. After eliminating all coverage for contents and taking the deductible to the max, his new insurance quote is $43,000.
Oh my God.
But the thing that troubles me is, and I have to say this to you because I'm honest when I come and talk to you, is this man closed in July of this year. And I don't understand how somebody didn't know to tell him.
Yeah.
I got someone's going to be in trouble on that one, I think. And so the cautionary tale is, I know NAR has now come out with the forms that suggest that you disclose this stuff. Boy, it's really important because this man says I can make payments for about 2 months, and then our deposit that we put on this down payment for this house is going to be gone because they're going to have to foreclose on me. There's no way I can pay. So that's the market that we're in right now in parts of Pinellas County, and from my calculations, we're talking about 33,000 single-family residential homes, and that's where they are. The red on that map shows the areas that are the AE or the A flood zones and the B flood zones where the houses. This only depicts the areas where the houses are actually the pre-firm houses. We're not even dealing yet with the fact that FEMA plans to redraw the maps for all the post-firm houses. In 2014 and 2015, we're liable to have another round of excitement then, although I think with what's going on this summer, they might be a little slower, and they might take an actual look at affordability. But, you know, I say that at a time when we all get up and we read the newspaper about what's going on in Washington, and I'm really not sure what they'll consider. And I don't know how to put a happier face on it. The good news, and there is good news, in the rest of the county, sales have just, actually up until the third quarter, sales have just been booming. They've just been booming. And I've heard stories from dozens and dozens of people just like you who are in the business who said, we just don't have enough inventory in certain price ranges. And houses are selling, the time on the market has gone down a lot. I can see that because we get days on the market information from PRO to help us determine when we should or should not qualify short sales as comparables. But here's what we're looking at so far this year in Pinellas County. In Pinellas County this year on single-family residences overall, with a whole quarter left, because pretty much most of the October sales we don't have in our system yet. We're just getting them now because there's a little bit of a lag time between recording and the deed going through all the QC stuff that happens in the clerk of court's office before I get it. But through 3 quarters, we have already had 10% below the number of sales that we had all of last year, with a whole quarter left. So that is a good thing because volume comes first and then the prices start rising. Overall, the prices year over year in Pinellas County, in North County, I don't know how many of you work North County, but the North County price per square foot, the median price per square foot is up more than 10%. And in Mid-County and South County, it's up more than 7%. And on the beaches for the year, it's up over 9%, with 8.8 overall median price per square foot increase from 2012 to 2013.
But that was before bigger waters, right?
Yeah, that is, and I'm getting it. Now let's talk about the third quarter of 2012 versus the third quarter of 2013, because that's where the awful truth starts to appear, and I think you need to be aware of this, although I'm sure you already are, because you're living it. I'm dealing with the aftermath of what you do. But this is what we have. If you compare the third quarter of 2012 to the third quarter of 2013, prices in North County, and all the prices I'm quoting are median price per square foot, so we take size out of the equation. North County's up 12.5%, Mid County's up 9.5%, South County's up 9%, and the beaches are up 2.7% on the sale price. But when you look at the number of sales, North County's up, third quarter over third quarter, 16%, Mid-County 24%, South County 36%, and the count of sales on the beaches, this is single-family residences only, is down 3%. So it begins. And part of the third quarter, there was not a lot of awareness. That's July, August, and September. The awareness didn't really kick in until August. And I will have these numbers. I'm going to be very interested to look at fourth quarter over fourth quarter at the end of the year. And frankly, I don't think they're going to be too good on the beaches.
Right.
But we have just taken steps in our office to lay the FEMA maps on top of the property appraiser parcel maps so we could identify these parcels. The 33,000 pre-firm single-family residentials that are in these flood zones, I have set up programs that will let me run these 2011, 2012, and 2013 comparisons looking at just those pre-firm houses in the flood zones compared to the whole rest of the market. From that, it is my intention to use an appraisal convention called functional obsolescence to put extra depreciation on especially the slab-on-grade houses with the low elevations. But I have to make some assumptions, and I know that my assumptions are going to be wrong a lot, because I don't have a certificate of elevation for every home, which tells me where the living area is. So we are going to attempt to, first of all, when our communities have kept certificates of elevation on file, they've been providing them to me, we're going to post those in our database so we know the plus-minus score for flood insurance. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you all do. How many feet above or below the base elevation a house is. And try to evaluate the market based on degrees of above or below the base flood elevation, if you will. My expectation is, initially, and you can actually help me today by letting me know if this expectation is rational and true based on what you're experiencing. My expectation is that initially, the market is going to react in a panic-stricken way with buyers saying, I'm not going anywhere near the beach and I don't care if it was built last year. Okay? And then, just like with short sales and everything else, there's going to be professionals among you who make it their business to carve out a niche in those kind of homes, who make the distinction between the house that's 2 feet above the base flood and the house that's 2 feet below and the house that's 10 feet below. And I think eventually the market will get smart and the market will react based on the actual elevation of the house. But for that to happen, people have to have certificates of elevation. And for me to measure that accurately, I need to have them too. So I've been at 3 public forums. They've been attended by probably a total of 1,600 people. I have never seen public meetings so packed. And I have made my pitch to the world, send me your certificates of elevation, and maybe we've gotten 50 or so of them in. People are starting to send them to me, and I will make every attempt to evaluate the market based on elevation as one of the factors we consider, and so that we can scale that extra depreciation we put on a house based on its elevation level. But I don't have enough evidence right now to do that, to do the kind of statistical analysis we need to do. The other thing we're going to attempt to do, which will be better than having no information at all, is to look at map files that are available that show the elevation contours, the topographic map that shows you where you're 8 feet above sea level and 10 feet above sea level and 20 feet above sea level. And we have places in Pinellas County that are actually 70 feet above sea level up around Countryside Mall. And we are going to try to identify for every parcel the lowest point on the lot. And then we know the house can't be any lower than that. And we're going to attempt to identify the highest point on the lot. And it's likely, in most circumstances, unless a parcel has a berm on it, that the house is built at the highest point of the lot. I mean, that would be typical. And then we'll give taxpayers the opportunity and the ability